Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the FTCCI and the Visista Insurance Broking Service Private Limited, we are pleased to welcome you to the webinar on COVID-19 pandemic and insurance industry response. Today's session is going to deliberate and discuss on the preparedness and the response from the industry, insurance industry that we have received during this unprecedented times. We also acknowledge the presence of our moderator and speaker. But before that, a very warm welcome to um, the chairman, Hari Govind Prasad, uh, from the Banking, Finance and Insurance Committee, and of course our president, Mr. Jasaki, and Ramakant Hinani, president and senior vice president from the Federation. Our moderator, Mr. Sevela, who is the COO of Visista Insurance Broking Services. Very warm welcome to you, sir. For partnering with us for this event. We think that this is the need of the hour and definitely this is going to enlighten our members. Our speakers, Mr. G. Srinivasan, Director, National Insurance Academy, Mr. M. Nagaraja Sharma, Secretary General, General Insurance Company, Ms. Anamika Roy, MD and CEO, IFCO Tokyo General Insurance Company Limited, Mr. Joseph Augustine, CEO, Excel Insurance Company, India Reinsurance Branch, AXA, Excel, a division of AXA. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's a privilege to introduce our moderator, Mr. Padmarao Sevela, who is the COO of Visista Insurance Broking Services Private Limited. He has a 34-year-long career in insurance and has held various positions in India and abroad, both in public and private sector, insurance companies and broking companies, Indian and multinational companies. Earlier, he has worked with National Insurance Company Limited. Having held different positions and handled all the aspects of insurance in various assignments, he has achieved expertise in technical client retention and employee retention areas. He has a master's degree in management and bachelor's in law, and he is also fellow of the Insurance Institute of India. So, Mr. Padmarao Sevela, we couldn't have had a better moderator than you for today's session. And we also thank Visista Insurance Broking Services Private Limited for partnering with us for this event, which is also an IRDAI licensed insurance broker and consultant, which started in 2003 with its corporate and branch office at Hyderabad and now has branches also at Bangalore, Chennai, Pune and Bhubaneswar. With a strong team of over 80 associates having rich domain experience, have been delivering value-added insurance advisory services to over 450 clients across various business practices. Visista is specialized in risk identification and assessment, insurance policy design, negotiations with underwriters and claims assistance. With a dedicated team for handling the claims of the clients, Visista has been delivering high standard of customer services, which has ensured high retention of customer year on year.
Is there anything else? Conference room is better. Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction and a warm welcome to all the participants, the distinguished speakers for this evening, and for the most burning and debated topic, COVID-19. COVID-19 is there everywhere, whether it's in the personal lives or the official lives. It has redefined the culture of work. It's redefined the culture of work with SMS being followed, the sanitization, masking and the social distancing. The entire world community is united by one single entity. What so many leaders could not have done it, a small nano particle COVID has done. The entire world is united saying that let's fight it. Let's fight the invisible, the nano organism. Nobody can see, nobody knows. Nobody knows where it is coming from, but then it is taking lives by hundreds of thousands. I have a brief presentation before we have our distinguished speakers to talk on that. We will quickly go through the presentation. Then I will have the speakers, talk on various aspects of insurance. Before we go to that, the Federation has set the ball rolling, the expectations of the world from the insurance, while the banking industry and the finance industry helps organizations to set up initially, it is the insurance industry that comes to rescue of everybody in distress. When anything happens, whether it is the tsunamis or the terrorist activities, it has always been the insurance industry that has facilitated the reconstruction and putting back on wheels the economies, in so many situations. Now there are a lot of hope and belief from the global markets also in the insurance industry, to what extent they can come to rescue them from the very unprecedented situation, which does not seem to have any end date in sight, Insurance industry is looked upon by all for an assistance in this situation.
Before we start off the discussion by the panel members, we have a small presentation on the perspective and the COVID losses and how insurance industry is dealing with them. So we run through them, and then we'll have the panel to discuss on these issues. The presentation discusses on the perspective of the COVID, its impact and insurance solutions, insurance industry response to COVID-19 losses, future economic losses, and insurance industry preparations, global insurance response to COVID-19 pandemic. As of today, in the morning, when we have taken the account of the cases that were reported, globally there are 1.46 crores of positive detected cases, out of which 6,08,978 deaths and 87,37,835 people have recovered. Look at the scene at India, it's 11,18,107 positive cases, out of which 27,503 deaths and recovering cases are 7,399. Similarly, this has had an adverse impact on the economic and social fronts. The reported losses globally are to the tune of $8 trillion, and the unemployment resulting into 43 crores of people across the globe going out of jobs, losing their employments. In India, the losses are impacted to the extent of 10 lakh crores, and unemployment number reached at 14.5 crores. Due to the lockdown, not a direct impact of COVID-19, but due to the lockdown, which declared by the authorities, the following sectors are mostly affected: hospitality, travel, tourism, malls, retail, food, aviation, automobile, supply chain and logistics, construction, and entertainment. What are the type of losses inflicted by COVID-19 lockdown? Falling revenues, huge falling revenues due to stoppage of operations or partial operations, slumping demand, logistical constraints, unemployment resulting in loss of wages, salaries, pay cuts resulting in lower incomes, delayed defaults of receivables, increase in medical expenses, deaths of thousands of earning members of families, self-employed people as street vendors, carpenters, masons, daily wage earners, maid servants cannot pursue their occupation, affecting their livelihood. COVID-19 impact and insurance solutions. Medical expenses for treatment of COVID-19 are covered under the existing health insurance policies. Compensation for death due to COVID-19 is already available under the life insurance policies. However, no coverage for compensation to the daily wage earners, self-employed persons for loss of earnings due to COVID-19 lockdown. Existing policies also do not cover loss of income due to a lockdown condition. Loss of revenues are covered only if there is a material damage to the property under insurance. Insurance industry responses to COVID-19 losses and lockdown. Insurance industry has offered to renew policies without prior acceptance of payment. Special health insurance policies are designed keeping in view the special requirements of the COVID-19 treatment. Policies are designed to cover expenses for treatment at home and during quarantine also. Policies are designed to cover for loss of income as well as job victim due to the COVID-19. Insurers have relaxed certain conditions of policies to facilitate their clients. Short-term health insurance policies have been introduced. Future funding losses and insurance industry preparations. IRDAI, the regulator, has formed a working group to recommend creation of pandemic insurance pool to cover the risks that are currently not covered. Efforts are afoot to design specific policies to meet the requirements of the MSME companies. How is the global insurance response to COVID-19 pandemic? Global insurers and reinsurers have become more engaged with medium to long-term thinking on the pandemic. Lloyd's London has unveiled the 3 open source frameworks to encourage the creation of new insurance solutions to address risk associated with COVID-19 and future systemic risk events. In the USA, the sector faces legal action from business interruption policyholders after declining to pay claims, citing pandemic exclusion clauses. Lawmaker proposals variously seeking to make the industry short of such losses retroactively or in future. Proposals that a public-private partnership program that provides business interruption insurance for enterprises. The scheme has a total capacity of around 1.15 trillion. Thank you.
Now, I introduce the distinguished panel of speakers for the evening before we start off with the discussion. Mr. Nagaraj Sharma. Nagaraj Sharma has been in the insurance industry since 1982, having joined New India Assurance Company. He has held various positions in New India Assurance Company. He also held the position of resident manager for New India in Curacao. He was heading Ken India Assurance Company Limited, which is the flagship company of New India in Kenya, as its MD and CEO. And he was also chairman for Tanzania Assurance Company Limited at Dar es Salaam. Mr. Nagaraj Sharma was also MD and CEO of Health Insurance TPA, which was a conglomerate of 4 public sector insurance companies coming together to form a third-party administrator company. He has set it up and made it operational. Mr. Sharma has eventually retired as the chairman and managing director of United India Insurance Company in the year 2018. He is currently Secretary General of General Insurance Council. General Insurance Council is the body of 25 non-life insurance companies, both public and private, 7 standalone health insurance companies, 11 reinsurance companies, and 2 specialized insurance companies. He is also on the board of several companies as director previously. Mr. Nagaraj Sharma, warm welcome, and we do have a lot to hear from you on the state of affairs or how insurance industry is going to respond to this challenge. Mr. Srinivasan Garu, currently Director of National Insurance Academy at Pune, which he has joined in December 2018. Mr. Srinivasan has an experience of 39 years in the general insurance industry. Having joined New India Assurance Company, he was the chairman of New India Assurance Company 2012. He has joined, and before that, he also headed United India Insurance Company as CMD. Mr. Srinivasan also earlier served as MD of New India Assurance Company at Trinidad and Tobago, Port of Spain. In each of the assignments he held, he has achieved landmarks and done a lot of development of the entity. He has also held chairmanships of General Insurance Council, GIPSA, that is General Insurance Public Sector Association, governing body of Insurance Council, on the board of National Insurance Academy, and he also was chairman of New India Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Srinivasan has been also on the board of several companies, including GIC Re, GIC Housing Finance, Prestige Assurance Company, and is also president of Insurance Institute of India, Mumbai. Mr. Srinivasan is a graduate of Commerce and also associate of Cost and Management Association, and is also fellow of the Insurance Institute of India. A warm welcome, Mr. Srinivasan, and we definitely expect a lot of information, insights into how and what insurance sector is going to respond. Ms. Anamika Roy Rastover is currently the MD and CEO of IFCO Tokyo General Insurance Company, which she has joined in June 2018 as a whole-time board member. Ms. Anamika Roy Rastover has 3 decades of experience in the general insurance industry and has served in both public and private general insurance companies. She has held various leadership positions in her previous assignments, as well as recognized as an industry thought leader and specializes in insurance distribution. She is a postgraduate in English from Kolkata University, fellow of Insurance Institute of India, and a chartered property casualty underwriter from the Institutes USA. Besides practicing insurance professional, she regularly teaches in many institutes. A warm welcome, ma'am, to this evening. And we do hope to hear a lot of things. Being the head of an insurance company, you would be faced with a lot of difficult situations in these unprecedented times. We would like to have your experience shared here on this platform, how the insurance industry is responding to the challenges. We have Mr. Augustine Joseph. Augustine Joseph heads the reinsurance company, Excel AXA company, which is AXA XL. He is the CEO of the company, having set up the reinsurance branch in India and responsible for developing AXA XL presence in India and the neighboring countries. Mr. Augustine joined AXA XL in 2009 as Chief Representative of India, setting up a liaison office in Mumbai. Prior to joining AXA XL, he has held various senior positions in General Insurance Corporation of India, GIC, including being posted at Moscow, Russia for over 4 years to establish the GIC Re setup there to service the Eastern European customers. At National Insurance, he also held the position of General Manager before moving on in 2009. Mr. Augustine is a fellow of the Insurance Institute of India and also holds a postgraduate degree in Commerce. He has served as a member of the Insurance Advisory Committee. IRDAI sits on the Executive Committee of General Insurance Council of India and also on the Board of Education at Insurance Institute of India. He has over 42 years of rich experience in insurance and reinsurance industry, actively participates in leading insurance events and conferences. A warm welcome, Augustine sir. We would like to get an insight into the reinsurance aspect of the COVID challenges and how the global industry, is dealing with this very difficult and challenging pandemic situation. I warm welcome to all the speakers, and I once again welcome all the participants. We will start off with the first thing is we would like to examine what exactly is the impact of COVID-19 on the manufacturing and service sectors in terms of their losses. I would request Mr. Srinivasan sir to please enlighten us as to what is the impact of this COVID-19. We hear it in our daily lives. What exactly is the economic impact of that? What is the impact on the manufacturing sector and service sector? Okay, in terms of their losses. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Padma Rao. I must at the outset thank the Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as Visista Broking, for this opportunity of being here and sharing my views. As you rightly said, and in your very elaborate presentation, you brought out the impact of this virus COVID on the humanity. COVID has devastated the whole world. It's a completely an unusual situation for every one of us. We have seen how many people are infected with this virus, and how many people have died across the world. But what's more disturbing is the economic impact of this virus. The whole world did not know how to deal with the virus. Even now, they don't know how to deal with the virus because there is no vaccine, there is no cure even till this point of time. So many countries adopted total lockdown, partial lockdown as perhaps the only way of dealing with the virus. And that has created, in addition to the virus itself, a huge economic problems for the entire world. Globally, we expect a recession in the current financial year, a deep recession. India is also expected to degrow by about 5 to 7% in its GDP. A degrowth of 5 to 7% for a country like India is disastrous. We are a country where a large section of the population is poor or little above the poverty line. And a degrowth of 5 to 7% would mean that a lot of people are going to really have economic suffering in the current financial year. The loss to the economy, when you also gave some numbers like 10 lakh crores, that's perhaps the kind of economic loss India is expected to suffer at this point of time. Going to the specific sectors, for example, the manufacturing sector. We have seen the manufacturing sector has been very badly impacted, and you very rightly mentioned the impact on the MSMEs. In fact, every sector has been impacted, whether it's manufacturing, services, MSMEs, businessmen, professionals, startups. You take any sector, I think everyone is impacted. But manufacturing has been very badly hit. Largely because of the lockdown. And even when lockdown has been relaxed in many parts of the country, people are reluctant to come because the disease is quite infectious and it's spreading. So we have seen loss of production, loss of revenues, and these companies are really suffering. So they're not able to make their ends meet. Then coming to the employment situation, the unemployment situation has worsened. I mean, we are today talking of more than 20% unemployment in our country, which is a huge number. Then going to the loss of earnings for the people, the earning power of the people has come down. I mean, there is some survey which says more than 50% of the working employees have suffered some loss of income, either totally their incomes have stopped or partially their incomes have come down. So this has also caused a huge impact as far as the economy is concerned. Then added to that, we have the health issues of employees. If you really look at many hotspots in the country, the positivity rate is quite high. For example, I sit in Pune. In Pune, for every 100 persons who are tested, almost 20 to 25 people are identified with COVID. I mean, this is a very, very bad situation. So, the employees who get infected, there are issues of treating them. The hospital capacities, hospital infrastructure in many parts of the country are actually on the brink. People are not able to get beds. So there are many challenges. Added to that is the cost of health treatment, which is also quite high and quite varied, despite attempts by many authorities to control them. So that's again yet another issue. And then finally, people are today not spending. People are just saying, let me wait and see what happens to this pandemic. They're not very sure. They don't know whether it will go away in 2 months, 3 months. Will we ever go back to the old normal, or will there be a new normal? So people have kind of, slowed down their spending, which is also acting as a deterrent on the demand. If demand is not there, what is the incentive for people to produce? So this is the kind of impact on the manufacturing sector. And as I said, the impact has been very high on the MSMEs and smaller companies, whereas the bigger companies with the financial strength and muscle have been able to manage to some extent. Government has given a lot of reliefs, but there's still not enough to sort out the issues. Going to the services sector is also very badly hit. I mean, you were mentioning some sectors like travel, tourism, aviation, hotels, hospitality. They've all been very, very badly hit, and they will be hit for some more time because, you can't have people coming together. Social distancing is going to be the norm for quite some point of time. Look at the financial services, the banking and NBFCs, I think are going to be saddled with more NPAs because people are not going to be in a position to pay back their loans because they themselves are not in a position to generate revenues. Coming to the insurance sector probably will be less impacted as compared to the banking sector, but nevertheless, the business of the insurance sector, especially the retail side of the insurance sector, is going to be certainly hit. And the services sector also has the same issues of loss of employment, employees' income levels coming down, health issues. So the situation, I mean, at this point of time is still evolving. I'm really not sure whether we have seen the entire hit of the pandemic, but pandemic is still raging. It's probably, you know, at its peak. I mean, the kind of number of people getting infected at this point of time, almost 40,000 people are infected yesterday. So it's a huge number for a country like India. So we will have to really wait and see how the situation pans out. I only hope that, you know, in the next 2-3 months, they're able to come out of it. Certainly the first quarter of the current year is going to be very bad for all the companies. Maybe the second quarter, we will see some improvements. Hopefully the second half of the current financial year, we should see things coming back to slowly to the normalcy. Maybe the entire year is going to be a very difficult year. So this is what I see as far as the economic impact of pandemic is concerned.
Thank you, Srinivasan Garu. And now, Ms. Anamika, I would come to you with a specific question. You know, there have been a lot of losses that are reported, difficulties faced by the industry. Now, what are the specific risks that the COVID has exposed the businesses to, and what is the insurance industry response for these risks?
Now, I'm not sure specifically what you want to ask, but I will respond to, I can see there are 56 participants and there'll be few who will share this. Insurance company has come out very positively during this pandemic. Point one, you already showed about the product. I'm not going to repeat how our regulator has come out very positively. However, at our own ends, I will now speak for IFCO Tokyo. Spirit of the policy has been honored very well. Let me give you an example. There is something called cessation of work, you know, which doesn't get covered. If there is a project which goes on for 30 days later, we don't cover. We have given a lot of losses. I will give you a small example of a company. I'm not mentioning the name. They changed their production facility from an it was also typically chemical to sanitizer. Now there are a lot of companies like this, and this company and this particular factory were gutted to fire. Now we could have said we will not entertain because the purpose of opening this factory was X, but you started manufacturing something else. Now we are honoring that claim, and that claim is almost 15 crores. So things like this, the spirit of the policy is what I firmly believe has been a testament to people who have put their faith in us. This was a real moment of truth that we had to exhibit as insurers so that people have faith in insuring. Unoccupied premises. Like I have been asked in many chambers of commerce that whether are you not going to cover. Somebody asked me if we open and there is fire. If during unoccupied side of 30, it's supposed to be 30 days, now it's supposed to be 90 days, will you pay? Yes, and we are paying. It's not one or two. I think the only thing I've seen is we are all talking a lot of health claims, and I think Sarmaji is circulating every day regarding the COVID affected insurance claims, which is barely 4 to 5% now. It's increased to 5% of the, say, 11 lakh people who are infected in India. Whereas in property, suddenly there's a spot of claims. The claims came because, things were not maintained. We have a liability claim where something has happened. So the spirit, now let me come, even before the regulator gave out a beautiful, direction of how to settle claims, we were still honoring claims like PP suits expenditures. Even in a normal course of operation, they're still charging for what I would call is, earlier it used to be not admitted, those costs. So those costs. So did insurance company walk the few steps in midway to service the clients? Yes, it did. But what hurts is that today we are talking that, oh, you're not covering pandemic losses like loss of revenue. I really don't know what to do with it because I don't have data. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. So I think regulator has done a great job by creating a working group who can study that, because we really don't have data to work on it. I think government probably may have to work out, like it took some time for even the health insurance like the Arogya, or I would say this Jan Arogya policies to come out. Then we also now Pradhan Mantri, this Bima, the Jan Arogya Bima. It took some time. Maybe it will take a bit of time for us to figure out how to cover loss of revenue due to pandemic or loss of livelihood due to pandemic. I don't, because the reinsurers have quite a few of them have put some restrictions on treaties. So those will not be covered. So we'll probably have to put this risk in some pool. Then only I think it will keep learning. We'll keep learning on how it shapes up. Hopefully the pandemic goes, we don't need the cover, but nonetheless. Okay, sir. Does it satisfy
Thank
you?
you. Well, I think it's more to do with the participants who are expecting a lot of things from us. But then within the given circumstances, you have been very elaborate as to how, IFCO Tokyo and also the insurance industry on the whole has come up with, very practical solutions. Like the particular area you mentioned where the change of occupation has not been informed, but nevertheless a claim is honored. I mean, that's a very great gesture on this industry for paying a claim. Otherwise, any change in occupation, unless it's intimated and agreed to by the insurance company, makes the policy null. But I'm happy that insurance industry has responded very well within the given limitations that we have. Nagaraj Sharma Garu, as the head general Secretary General of General Insurance Council, the body which comprises of all the general insurance companies in India. Definitely a lot of expectation from the industry to, probably come up with solutions for this. Then we would like to examine basically what type and extent of losses COVID has wrought on direct and indirect. And can we examine some of the critical areas that have affected the lives and businesses of the people?
Uh, the question that we currently have is health insurance claims. Those people who are undergoing treatment for COVID, they are coming up with claims, and we have more than 50,000 claims already reported, and we're doing it as fast as we can in settling those claims. Settlement ratio is very, very high, almost 80%. And most of the cases, the active treatment is happening. That's why the claim pendency appears. That's the main line of the claims that we are getting. And we also have received some claims and then a lot of queries from the society asking whether the shutdown period, the industries that are able to produce those loss of profits, do they get covered? Unfortunately, it is not covered because all the loss of profits policies that have been issued in the Indian market, leave alone Indian market, even world over, they are linked to the physical damage, accidental physical damage that happens to the plant and machinery or to the stocks. As a result of that, if there is a haltage in production, and that kind of a loss is what is covered under the loss of profits policies. So that we gave a clarification. The council, as soon as those queries started coming in, and we have put up on the website of the council giving the required clarification, and also through media, we have clarified the right position and correct position as it is. These are the main losses. But once the lockdown is lifted, I think in most of the places, lockdown has been partially lifted. Industries are out to function, and as soon as the production started, we found suddenly, as Anamika pointed out, suddenly fire losses started coming in. That's because during the breakdown period, shutdown period, I think the down of the industry. And when they try to restart the industry maybe they haven't followed the correctly, or maybe there wasn't required maintenance. As a result of that, we had a few more number of claims as compared to the usual numbers, and those claims started coming in. But of course, we have been dealing with them, and then the claims are definitely payable and we paying them. So this is about the kind of losses that we are seeing.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nagaraj Sharma. That aspect of the losses, especially where the company is not following the standard operating procedures in restarting, in spite of there being, substandard ways. Insurance industry has been considering those claims given this condition, and definitely a welcome move. And taking a cue from what you mentioned just now, that the pandemic losses have taken everybody by surprise. It's not merely the insurance industry in India, but the global insurance industries are also surprised and taken aback by the way the pandemic losses are going on. Now, I request Mr. Augustine to specifically look at the aspect of the kind of impact pandemic is having all over the world, and how do we see the global insurers responding to the pandemic, especially in the developed markets like the Lloyd's in UK, USA, and what is the amount of losses estimated which have been considered and paid?
Thank you, Mr. Padmarao. I'm sure you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay. So basically, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me on this program, and also thank the Telangana Federation. Without talking about the COVID, its impact at the local level and all, I would like to give a perspective of the global approach to this crisis. Globally, if you see the insurance company and reinsurance companies that are operating on a global scale, for them, large losses is not a big thing. It happens every year, somewhere or other, there are cat losses. For example, in US, you have hurricanes, use billions of dollars of losses happening, earthquakes happening everywhere. And these kind of natural cat losses are common. And the insurance industry globally is used to these kind of losses. And they have been paying these losses and going ahead with their businesses as usual. But COVID-19 is entirely a different thing. It is not particular to any region. For example, if a hurricane happens in US, it is a US cat loss. If an earthquake happens in Japan, it's in Japan. But COVID is a global event. Therefore, whole industry is shocked. And the global players operating all over the world, the reinsurers especially, how they do business is they write business from all parts of the world, and they generate income from all parts of the world. And if there are geographic losses happening in one place, the other areas premium or income that they earn covers those losses. But this COVID is entirely different. I don't want to further explain on that. I'm sure audience will understand what I'm trying to say. So it is the magnitude of the loss. It is unexpected situation that has arose. And like many other speakers have emphasized how it has happened. Now, coming back to the specifics of how the different regions have handled this. For example, you take UK. In UK, the biggest market is Lloyd's. I'm sure people know that Lloyd's is a group of reinsurers. It's a market where global insurers operate as syndicates, and they insure risk from all over the world, and they go paying the losses. This is a huge, biggest market in the world, the Lloyd's market. Now, when they have seen this pandemic happening, in the month of May, they appointed a study to understand what kind of losses they should expect from these situations. Initial response globally, if you see, people have generally been casual little bit on the economy of insured losses, because they said that lockdown is not covered, it is not payable losses, so nothing to worry, except we have to take care of the event cancellations and travel and all. But as the times went by, they realized it is not as simple as that. It is not an earnings loss. For an industry, when you talk about earnings lost, what we say is that profits will not be there this year. And then when the next stage of loss is when the capital of the industry gets eroded. So initially they thought it's only earning loss, we can take it easy, but then they realized that it is going to erode the capital of the industry in a big way. And that's how the seriousness has come in. When this seriousness has come in, Lloyds said that they need to do something, and they have come out with a few solutions for them. They said that there, for example, they said that there is a new scheme called Restart. Restart is a Lloyd's market risk pooling mechanism, where all the insurance companies come together and try to pool the risk and pay the losses. They also come with the next suggestion that is called recovery re, in which it's a sort of a loan-like thing where they pay the losses in advance for the losses, and then they recover the money in the form of premiums. So these are all future schemes. And they also suggested another scheme, which is a Black Swan event, Black Swan Re. Here it is Black Swan. Normally what we refer to is a huge something unmanageable, unexpected, unfortunate event happening, normally referred to as Black Swan. So under that name, they said Black Swan Re, which will be a partnership between the public sector and government and also the private sector. And this should take care of the huge unexpected losses. So this is how Lloyds has come up. Apart from that, there is one organization called Pool Re in UK. They also started talking to the government and the lawmakers, and they said that this pandemic that has happened can happen again. So we need to prepare ourselves for that. And therefore, they have approached the government and they have said that let us come together and form a pool. Like the Pool Re, they wanted to have pandemic pool. So that is also being worked out. All these suggestions, whilst Lloyds and UK market has given, they have not restricted saying that this is for UK market. They said that anybody in the world, any country in the world can adopt these kind of schemes for their own benefit. And it is for the rescuing the people from the impact of COVID. Now in UK, if you see, there is a policy which already covers these kind of losses in a very limited way. For example, if in a particular town or a city, if an unfortunate disease spread happens and the government decides that that area should be closed, you should not allow that area, partially restricting that area. So those retail shops and restaurants and all that area gets affected, and they are entitled to claim under those policies. Now, when this national lockdown happened, those insurers refused to pay, saying that this is not a localized situation. This is not the local areas have not been impacted, but it is a national lockdown, and therefore we will not be covering under this policy. That kind of interpretation the local insurance company started giving, but the Financial Conduct Authority of UK, which is a part of the regulator, they rejected this argument, saying that you cannot take such things. If infectious disease is covered, you have to pay the claim. So that's how the UK has responded. In USA, for example, there is a slightly complicated system where there are large number of states having their own regulators. And also the interpretation and policy conditions are entirely different in every way. Now here what happened is they have strictly said that physical loss due to an insured peril has to happen if we have to pay the claim. And this lockdown is not the trigger for a physical loss. They declined, they said that. And virus is not physically harming the product. So that kind of a very strong defense they have taken. And then the insureds realized this and they started going to the courts. For example, large number of restaurants came together and said that this COVID virus has damaged their food items and therefore it's a physical loss and it has to be paid. So similarly, a lot of lawsuits are happening and a lot of defensive way of doing it. In the meantime, certain lawmakers, that is legislative, parliamentarians and legislative people, they said that this is too big a loss for the insurance industry for the people to handle. Therefore, we must make the insurance industry payable. Let us pass a law that insurance companies retroactively cover all these losses. So that's a very dangerous situation that is happening. And we have to see how these cases will take it forward. In the meantime, there is also again a suggestion of public-private partnership suggestion for the pool in the US coming out. And it's a very big capacity of $1.15 trillion. And there they said that we will have two kinds of arrangements. One is for the small and medium sector, $750 billion cover, and for the remaining large corporate, they said $400 billion cover. They said they will come with this. You may also, I just want to, without taking much time, I want to slightly cover small things. World Bank already has an pandemic emergency financing facility. In the year 2014, when Ebola struck the Western African coast, World Bank realized that pandemic is a serious issue and this cannot be kept ignored. So they came out with a facility in the year 2016 saying that $500 million worth of coverage we will give. A part of it is also in the form of insurance. And today, that insurance arrangement of World Bank, that facility is paying $195.84 million towards the COVID loss. So this is a few things I wanted to cover. On the amount of losses you mentioned, you wanted me to tell about it. There are different estimates. For example, Hamburg-based investment bankers said that the loss will be between 50 to 70 billion for the insurance industry, that is insured losses. So they are estimating anywhere between 50 to 70. Lloyd's itself has come out with a study saying that $107 billion loss will be for the industry globally. And they have said that 31% of this will be event cancellation, 29% property, and then the credit insurance. So while we are talking about these losses, even the security rating agencies like Moody's have estimated the loss could be in the range of 50 to 90 billion dollars. I also want to take, without much time, I want to cover a few things. Summer Olympics games that was to happen in Tokyo got cancelled. It is a event cancellation cover. International Olympic Association always covers these event cancellation for Summer Olympics at around $800 million. $800 million Summer Olympics cover. So they are going to get that insurance. And similarly, there are television rights and sponsorship and many other losses. So because of the cancellation of Summer Olympics in Tokyo, the industry is going to pay around $2 billion. That's what about the Summer Olympics. And very interestingly, I want to say something. Wimbledon tennis tournament. Wimbledon tennis tournament is the only event which was covering against pandemic losses for the last 17 years. So every year they have been paying 1 or 2 million pounds and they were covering this risk. And possibly some of the organizers would have felt that this is waste of money. Why are we taking this? But today, Wimbledon is set to recover $142 million against the event cancellation of Wimbledon. So that way, if you see globally, we can't say it's not covered. We can't say it is partially covered. There are things. Many people are taking defensive positions. Some people have realized that courts and lawmakers will not allow that. We need to find. And some people started thinking that it cannot happen again and again, and therefore we need to prepare for the future. And that's how the global industry is responding at this point of time. I have taken a long time, sorry, but I thought I should brief you on this.
Thank you, Mr. Agustin, for a very, very elaborate view of the global response to the pandemic. Ms. Anamika, the lockdown has created a very new normal work culture, work from home. Now, work from home definitely creates a lot of challenges for delivery of services to the customers, both the policymakers and in terms of any claim. How is it that IFFCO Tokyo has dealt with this work from home challenge and still yet kept up the standards of service delivery to the customers?
Let me tell you, it's very, very, it is the new normal. I don't think we have ever imagined we'll be doing this. If it was earlier times, you would invite me, I will take a morning flight and I'll say, okay, I'll be there, evening I'll be back. So, we all got accustomed. Let me tell you, in the month of April, and in between like 15th March onwards, we started shutting our offices and we said, okay, this is and that. Then we realized that customers were absolutely worried that they were wondering, the day we open offices, there were a huge number of customers. Why? They wanted to verify whether they are covered and offices have not shut down. So this was a big worry. Now let me come to you. I would like to speak for all insurers in India. I think we were all prepared. We did not know this pandemic is coming or the virus is coming. Somehow, India jumped a lot of steps in digitalization and use of digital assets to deal and service the entire policy life cycle. For example, from issuance to renewal, I think it was all digitalized. So if you see, we did not lose much in terms of servicing the policy. Now coming to payments, there are already digital payments. So that was available. So India was ready for with a digital payment servicing. Now it comes to claims. Now what happened during claims for motor? I was myself surprised. I thought there'll be no motor claims during lockdown. No, they were. It was only 33% down. Everything was happening. So we said, how do we settle? Then at least we had, and I'm sure many of my other friends in the industry have, we click pictures, they get uploaded, and there is an AI-backed calculation for a certain number of vehicles, and below 50,000, whatever we are allowed. And the calculation goes to the customer, and the customer either he agrees. If he agrees, it takes us 30 minutes to transfer the money. If he does not agree, then he has to wait till the lockdown is over and how the vehicle will get repaired in a repair shop. So, but what happened during Amphan and Nisar, these two cyclones, and a combination of COVID, the customers were not willing to accept digital modes. They were so long accepting. Then suddenly when the bigger claims came and they were not. So that was a challenge at the customer's level, not at our level. So I think we, not the virus, but somehow as a part of our innovation, we were well prepared to service the customer, settle their claims, and the call centers, unfortunately, we always thought they're the touch points. They kind of broke down, because their people could not come. They used to come by local conveyance. So that was something they started operating from. So April was a bit of a time to adapt to this new way of communication. But come May, June, July, I think things are just working as if we never needed offices. But excuse me, but I still feel offices are needed. It is not that we can do away with offices, but things are moving. Now coming to, many people asked us, I think some questions were raised about how actually we have now got an idea of what's happening globally. We have some idea what is kind of losses. But let me tell all the 44, I can see some participants, I think they're there. There is hope. Don't lose hope, because what happened in the midst of our struggle of growth, we kind of thought that insurance could take a backseat. And that was unfortunate in terms of health, in terms of property, especially in health. We did many such conferences now, instilling hope in people that even now, health insurance, please take, because it may not stop with COVID infection. It could leave something else. It could be something more that can happen. I am not an authority on medicine, but they say that it can lead to some other problems. So health insurance is widely available, and we are more than happy to make endorsements to the current policies as well. So there is, I would say, preparedness in terms of insurance to come out and support at times of need, not only the current customers, but the future customers, whether it's MSME, whether it's SME, even groups, we had offered that small groups also we will cover. So insurance companies are absolutely open to help people with insurance, but we need you to come. That's most important. Okay? And we are willing
Thank you,
to
Ms.
support
Sanam.
everywhere. Remote and digital. Now, these are the two new normal words we have.
Thank you, Ms. Anamika. And I would add a point to that. I think many of the insurance companies have started settling the claims merely on the basis of the.
Yeah.
Earlier, we used to insist for the original documents to be received, but all the insurance companies, they said that your soft copies are subject,
Yes.
and the claim servicing has not stopped. And I understand, and wherever it is difficult for access, drones are also being used. Drones are also being used for assessment of losses, and payments have been happening quick on that. Insurance industry has been very forthcoming. Now they've come up with a short duration policy in health, which is unheard of. We always thought of only 1 year health insurance policy, but now it is offered for 3.5 months, 6.5 months, and 9.5 months. And there with whole lot of items that are being covered which were previously not covered under the regular health insurance policies. The industry has been very, very proactive in making a lot of changes, which are very welcome. And we have seen a lot of enthusiasm among the general public also to go in for insurance policies. I think that's a very welcome change. Nagaraj Sharma garu, I would just like to touch upon a couple of aspects that I think industry is considering, which definitely, most of the participants would like to know. That there has been efforts afoot by the regulator as well as government of India to explore the possibilities of lot of uninsured risks as of today. Including, I understand that there is a specific solution being offered, specially designed for MSME group, which is a very comprehensive policy. And there has been also discussions where they said that, the first sufferers of this lockdown is the migrants. The people who have lost their jobs, whose salaries have been cut, and who have to still make their living and take care of their families. The incomes have been lost. We have policies covering loss of income, but again, due to specific accidents. But now I understand there are efforts at the directive of the ministry to explore possibility of covering such losses of jobs and salaries. If you could elaborate on this, I think that would be great.
You're absolutely right, Padmarao Garu. There has been, in fact, we have a very, very active regulator, and regulator, maybe due to the push from the central government, has been advising the insurance industry to come up with products which suit the need. So the COVID-19 situation has exposed the situation that a lot of there are unplugged gaps are there, and these unplugged gaps need to be filled up. And one of them, as you very rightly said, is loss of employment due to pandemics like this. It becomes beyond the control of the employee and the employer. So sometimes they lose the jobs are lost. And similarly, small industries and medium and micro industries, they have a set of problem. So to address them also, they wanted us to devise a fresh cover. So we are working on them, and each of the 25 non-life insurance companies that are there, and several of them with foreign collaborations, they are trying to also get new covers that are available outside India. And very soon, maybe in the next 5 to 6 months, we will definitely see new covers coming in, and they need to be adapted to Indian needs, and then we file with the regulator with the actually assessed rates. Hopefully, by the next financial year, we should definitely some of the new covers which can address. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that will create a win-win situation for the industry also. Increasing its penetration. I mean, India has been always identified as very low penetration of insurance in many sectors, and this identification of innovative insurance solutions should provide a lot of opportunities for the insurance sector to make inroads in a lot of areas where they have not made earlier. Mr. Srinivasan Garu, I would like to.
I just want to add one more. The regulator, a new cover, is specifically addressing the COVID. COVID cover has been devised by all the companies, the regulator, and these products are now available through the companies. This policy is the hospitalization and treatment cost of COVID, plus some cash benefit also with that. They have devised it. And available as a claim coverage. So everybody can, it is affordable means, everybody can buy. And then, Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Harigovind Prasad, you wanted to.
Yeah, just now I wanted 2 questions and 2 answers. One is, just now Madam has said that there can be a participation from the community aspect. like a group, a small group or a group of people or community wise, they can approach the insurance company for their members or associates by purchasing the insurance product called COVID insurance, as Mr. Nagaraj is saying so, which is a small sum. So how can they approach and whom they approach and what is the policy parameters? Can FAPSI act as a facilitator for so many? Like I am representing one of the community, and our Ramakant Inani ji, Dynamic, our senior vice president, is going to be vice president, represents Maheshwari community. These communities are very large in number, Agrawals, Maheshwari, Jains, or likewise all over India. So if we can create some as a coordinating agency and pool up and present as a group that these are the up to 5 lakhs or up to 3 lakhs, this is the sum to be paid, because this is not respect to any diabetic, non-diabetic, or any region or religion or any states of the world. So definitely this will help if you can guide us. Second part is, second
Sir,
part,
I'll answer this first. I will answer this first.
yes madam, please.
Vashishta is the best person to reach out to you, and I'll tell you, regulator has fixed certain sum insured, and each of us have got our premium. We'll be more than happy. There's a comparison chart going around everywhere. We have absolutely no issues. If you want to come to us as IFCO Tokyo, we'll be happy. Let you get the best rates, whatever is there in the market. And it is very easy for us. Like we can take any association, and suppose we talk about Telangana, and we'll say these groups. It is individual. You have the member details. All we need is the family details on an Excel, and we will give the policy, because things have become very, very easy now. And this will, now you will say about pre-ex, it is a short term. You can take it for 9.5 months, you can take for X amount of time, or you can go for a full-fledged policy. I personally always advocate a full-fledged health insurance. However, because of this PP kits, etc., we can negotiate in the group policy. So, Padmanabh ji, first client you have, and
Thank you,
that's how you should do business.
My second point, Rauji. My second,
Yeah, as madam has rightly mentioned, industry has been very proactive. They have come up with short period policies also. And importance of health insurance, is always been there with escalation of, hospitalization expenses, and a lot of people are being affected by a lot of, lifestyle diseases. It's always useful and advisable to have a regular insurance policy. Okay, you may have a short-term COVID policy specific for this duration, but then otherwise also it is always advisable to have a health insurance policy which covers the family adequately against any contingency. Yeah, your next question, you have something.
so what my point is that in India we are very much unorganized. We are fearful people, not very much satisfied about the outcome and the delivery from the insurance company. But the change of the insurance company's approach and attitude has instilled a lot of confidence in the public's mind a lot today. And online, digital, everything, the claims are now hassle-free. So this has given a lot of confidence. My point is that baby steps can be taken of 900 pounds is a very innovative product which will help like Samaj or community or chambers to take up to their members, to their employees and to their relatives, and to give to them also. This is what I am looking for. One aspect.
Harigovind, there are a lot of societies which are insured as a society, as a group. We call it affinity groups. And I would talk to you after this, and let me have any of those groups. We can do insurance for them, whether it's life insurance or health insurance. There are solutions for that. It is being done elsewhere, and we can do it with any groups that you would like to have also.
Second point, I wanted to know from the statistics point of view, from two stalwarts, one is Srinivasanji and the Nagaraji, is that, sir, Nagaraji has mentioned that 50,000 claims have come. If we take 1 crore also 50,000 crore, but it is coming to 10 lakhs, means 5,000 crore. If we take 5 lakhs means 2,500 crores. 25 companies means 100 crore also has not come as a claim on an average. Insurance company in pandemic. Am I right?
So that is quite a bit. Nagaraji sahab, tell him, I think it is almost 800, 900 crores now.
I think Harigovind garu, it's not advisable to go into those specifics. We would look at the general policies and how insurance industry has been responding. We will not go into those details of the statistics. I think we should restrict ourselves to how the insurance industry is responding. Any issues are there? Any client services issues are there that we can?
No, my point was further, sir, that a matching contribution can be made by the government like Atmanirbhar or a supportive to the industry insurance matching. That is what my point is. When 50,000 you are able to give, the government can come forward for the 50,000.
Is different, Mr. Harigovind. We cannot be telling this to the government. I think we should take it up at in fact, you should be in a position to take it at a different forum. But this forum, we can contribute little by discussion.
Chambers will take up, sir. Chambers will take up the assistance.
Sure. Srinivasan sir, I just wanted to check with you. A lot of people would like to know why insurance companies are refusing to admit any of these losses. How are they different from the regular losses that are reported and paid under the policies? What is specific to this particular type of risk which are different? Why insurance companies are unable to? Because they have not built that into the pricing, or because there are not sufficient studies, or the policy itself, wording itself and the reinsurance support does not forthcome for paying such losses.
Yeah. See, as far as pandemic insurance covers are concerned, there are two major policies which are available, which is health and life. I don't think there is any better time for both these, life insurers as well as health insurers to really, sell this product. People today understand, for example, health insurance. We don't have to go and tell anyone that you need health insurance. But still, I mean, it's very surprising why people are not lining up before the officers, are lining up before the portals to take health insurance policies. Maybe the short-term policies which the regulator has provided should provide some kind of cover, but it's essentially short term. So I think probably the insurance industry needs to really probably introspect and also go out in a very large way to really sell this, because people's memories are very short. If the virus goes away, we have seen this in the natural catastrophes in the past. If the virus goes away, maybe after 3 months, people will all think that they're all hale and healthy and they don't need health insurance. So it has to be done. Now, coming to other kinds of pandemic covers, as Agustin was mentioning, they're available globally, and quite a few have taken and they are benefited. I mean, to mention some of them, especially from a commercial insurance point of view, one is the non-damage business interruption cover. People are wondering, largely because of lack of awareness, why my business interruption cover is not responding to the lockdown situation. So I think that's a question, of course, largely out of ignorance, because the Indian market, apart from health and life, never gave pandemic cover in other lines of business. So probably this cover is something people can look at for future pandemics. Then, even cancellation covers, then extensions and liability, DNO, travel. Then we talked about retrenchment cover, unemployment insurance. So these are some of the covers which people can take. But the only thing is, the customers are not, they talk about it, but they're not really coming forward to take. This is a grievance of the insurance industry. We put in a lot of efforts and come out with products, but people only ask, and then later they don't really take those policies. So these policies are needed. Pandemic, COVID may go, something else is going to happen after a few years. This is the kind of world we're going to live in. Look at, if you look at what are the issues for providing these kind of covers, the Indian insurers have a limited capacity. They won't be rated on their own net capacity. Reinsurance capacity is available to a limited extent. Of course, Mr. Agustin was mentioning about what is available globally, but not all of them are going to be available to the Indian market. I think that is why the regulator is now, formed this working group to talk of a pandemic pool. Pandemic pool has its challenges. It's not as simple as a terrorism pool. But at least, there are some ways of aggregating domestic capacity and providing some of these covers to the customers. So the point is, covers are available. Customers should take the most important covers. Other covers, if they need on a very selective basis, certainly the insurance industry would be able to provide them.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. Yes, that's a fact. In fact, now everybody is running to the insurers asking a question, why I'm not getting for loss of revenue. But if you look at the number of business interruption extensions that the corporates take, very few of them either to save, cut costs, for some reason they don't take the business interruption loss. I mean, this is time that the customers should realize that a widest comprehensive cover can be always handy on any rainy day that will help them. like it has happened in history earlier also, we are never predicted we would have floods in places like Chennai or Bombay, but then they are adversely affected, and people are waking up to that. So it is time that the general public also become aware that insurance has to be treated as an insurance for a difficult time to come to the rescue. On the design of new products, I think it's definitely a huge opportunity for the industry to look up, explore innovative products and widen the net. When we're talking about MSMEs, the whole lot of street side vendors are there who are not in the net of insurance. I think it requires whole lot of education from all sectors of the society, including the governmental and the regulatory education to them to give the importance. Like I was just feeling that, like the, pygmy bankers who go and collect every day 20 rupees, 10 rupees, and then, deposit into saving accounts. I think similarly should also happen with insurance. We have the micro insurance concept also, where a lot of these people are now exposed. They don't have income on a daily basis. It's hand to mouth, and there is nothing else that has to come to rescue unless government doles out some money. Instead of depending on the government, which again may be under huge constraints to meet such a gigantic, requirement, there should be an insurance policy which they fall back upon, and rightfully, there should be a policy that can take care of their livelihood also in such situations. On this note, I thank all the members